are visiting Historic Jerome, Arizona, which is perched on the side of a mountain just above Cottonwood and Clarkdale.
It is cold up here, y'all.
So the first stop of the day is the Gold King Mine.
The town up here used to be known as Haines until it was abandoned in a year that I am not familiar with.
Good fact giving there, honey. Good
It
fact
is.
giving.
So if you're curious, then it was abandoned in...
If you watched our other video on Clarkdale, you know that copper mining is huge in this area. They were actually prospecting for copper in this area when they actually discovered that there was gold up here.
Now that I didn't know. She did her research. I did not.
Not a
I'm
whole
sorry.
lot, just a little. But so we're just basically just a mile or two outside of Jerome out here in this old ghost town. So we're going to explore because they've got all kinds of old mining equipment and just old vehicles, like so many old cars and cool stuff out here to see.
So being a mining town so far away from everything, they have their own blacksmith shop. But here they actually do two classes that for an additional fee, you can either A, learn how to make your own copper bracelet, or B, you can learn how to operate a blacksmith's forge, and do this stuff with the things and make it with the metal. And it's actually really cool. I would have loved to have done this.
So they have a mine shaft here. I'm not sure if it's an actual mine shaft that they've reinforced or if it's just something that they've made so that you can actually see what a mine shaft might have looked like, but it's still pretty cool.
It's dark in here.
Scaredy pants.
I didn't say I was scared. I said it was dark. And of course, Sandy could not resist. They have animals here, and she could not resist feeding them.
Oh, who scared you?
Maybe he doesn't like being on camera.
Maybe it was this guy.
Maybe it was that guy.
It is him.
Yeah, it is him. They're all running away from the pig. Everybody seems scared of this fella here. It's cute. What's going on, buddy? They have like these little holes that these guys will stick their heads out of for food.
Come on. Oh, you're cute, little guy.
He doesn't seem to get that he needs to go above the bar.
I don't know. He might be too short. I don't know. You got it, don't you, bud? Yeah. I'm almost out, kids. That's funny. That's a goat joke, kids.
Obviously, I didn't do research on the history of this place, and you didn't do any research on good goat jokes.
Probably not. But look at that. Yum. Goat saliva.
Behind me is a 1902 Studebaker electric race car. It topped out at a whopping 13 miles an hour and can go 40 miles before recharging. Come a long way on the electric car, but this is crazy to think that, it wasn't such a new idea. Now, is this saying we shouldn't go any further because of rattlesnakes, or if we see any rattlesnakes, we should stop them?
So originally there were 60 homes up here in this community, and this up here is the very last one of them standing. It's the only one that you can still see. You can see some old remnants. You can actually see what a structure would have looked like. The cool thing about this is there was a lady named Petra that lived in this house until 1959. And at the time when she moved out, she was 105 years old. She moved to Prescott and lived another 3 years. So she lived to be like 108. That's crazy.
Right behind me is the original mine shaft for the Gold King mine. This shaft is 1,270 feet deep, and it yielded over $7 million in gold. Now, these old mine shafts had a propensity to flood. It kind of got to be worth more than what they were pulling out of the shaft at the time, so they closed it down in 1914.
So the Gold King mine was really, really cool, but we are heading back into the little town of Jerome to check it out.
So as a forewarning when you come to Jerome, and if you're driving anything bigger than a standard vehicle, you're gonna have to park in the oversized lot, which is in the behind the fire station underneath some solar panels.
Yeah, so when you drive through, they actually have people out there monitoring it. They'll tell you no oversized vehicle parking. They'll direct you to come up here. It's actually a nice big parking lot with plenty of parking.
And it's pretty. You can see the remnants of some old mining equipment up here and all the colors of the copper and different minerals inside the rock.
Yeah, and I can look right up into the side of the mountain here, and I can actually see an old mine shaft, so it's kind of cool.
This town used to be a mining town, but eventually after the mining left, so did the people. Jerome today has experienced a resurgence as kind of a tourist town. You can take tours and stuff here. They even have a ghost tour because apparently there's a lot of ghosts up here. But hey, even ghosts need to eat, right? Okay, maybe they don't, but we do, and we're starving. So we're headed to a place called Haunted Hamburger. I don't know why it's haunted. Maybe the burgers are haunted. See any ghosts yet? No ghosts.
Only on t-shirts. I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Okay, that was funny. What a cool restaurant.
It was really, really good. So I had a Southwest sourdough burger, and so it was the burger, some pepper jack cheese, bacon, chipotle mayo, green chilies. I think that's about it.
And I had the haunted burger, which had mushrooms. It is starting to hail or sleet out here. It is cold. It is cold.
That wasn't on the burger though.
So mushrooms, green chilies, guacamole, bacon. It was delicious. It was absolutely delicious.
Yeah, so the burgers are really good.
The interior of the restaurant is actually really cool. It's kind of kitschy, haunted house. They had a bookshelf in the ceiling.
But that might be your next pressing question is like, is the haunted hamburger haunted? And so the story is that maybe it is.
It's a definite maybe.
So apparently when they bought the building to make the haunted hamburger there, it was pretty dilapidated. They had to do a lot of repairs to fix it. Apparently like while they were doing it, like hammers would disappear and then reappear in conspicuous places.
Conspicuous or inconspicuous?
Inconspicuous. That's the word I was looking for.
Okay, so it is starting to weather on us. It's kind of like snow/rain. Yeah, so we're gonna check out the rest of the town. So there's no shortage of shops, as you can tell. This one likes to browse in almost every single shop that we come across.
That's me.
But here it's actually okay, because they have some awesome shops. Singer from Tool, A Perfect Circle, and Pussifer actually owns a store here
Called Pussifer. It's really cool because it's a record shop, so there's tons of albums you can buy. They also have like, that's where they make all of their t-shirts and stuff for Pussifer, and there's a barbershop in there.
and you can taste his wine. So apparently he really digs wine, and he makes his own wine, which I think is pretty cool.
Lots of cool places to see around here. Lots of shopping. Makes me happy. So now let's go find something historical.
See, look, I told you we'd find something historic. So behind me is the famous Jerome sliding jail. So in 1905, this is believed to be the third jail that was built here in town. And it was actually built under a garage/car shop. Well, it was built attached to a wooden structure, and eventually it slid to its final resting place today. I shouldn't say final, because who knows, maybe it's not done moving yet. Okay, so breaking news. I just found out that the jail, this didn't slide all the way to this final resting place. It was actually pushed. Like I said, sometimes we lie to you, and not intentionally, but sometimes we do.
We are currently on Main Street here in Jerome, and there are just so many old buildings, and several of them are from the late 1800s. Like the Connor Hotel right behind us is from 1898, and right next to it is the Liberty Theater. The main part of the theater is no longer in existence. It's a shop, but upstairs they do still do like a 30-minute video about Jerome's history, and you can kind of see the balcony area of what used to be the theater, so it's pretty cool. So we have made it all the way to the top of the hill to the Jerome Grand Hotel.
I'm out of breath.
It's up here a little bit. It's a very hilly town.
Well, we did want something historical, and this place is pretty historically significant.
And probably very, very haunted.
Super haunted.
Kind of the history of this place is it was built in 1926, and it originally was a hospital. And it was used until the 1950s, at which time when the mining boom ended here, the hospital basically shut down along with pretty much everything else in this community. From sometime in the 1950s until the 1970s, maybe early 1980s, this place actually sat here pretty much abandoned. However, they left all the hospital equipment. So when they basically sold this place back in the late 70s, early 80s, all the hospital equipment was pretty pristine and was just like walking back into a time capsule from what I hear, which would be really cool.
That would be really freaky, actually.
And then when they bought it, they actually had some, what are they called? Keepers?
Caretakers.
Caretakers.
Think The Shining.
So they had a caretaker and people that would live here in the building to make sure that nobody came up and vandalized visit because there really wasn't hardly anybody up here. And then one of the caretakers, when was it, back in the 1980s, actually committed suicide here. Apparently room 32 is
like the haunted room in this in this hotel. If you book a stay here, ask for room 32 if you like, you know, spooky, scary things.
Then in the 1990s, this was sold again. That was who decided to make it into a hotel, and they started, you know, building the hotel and everything. And now it's this beautiful hotel that just, when you're driving up here to Jerome, you can see it sitting up here at the top of the hill, and it's really beautiful.
And they have a restaurant called the Asylum,
which we really, really wish we had gone to, but we kind of didn't figure that out until a little later. One day we might have to come back here to go to the Asylum. We finished walking around downtown Jerome, and we have headed over to the Jerome State Historic Park. So this park is actually now a museum, and it is in the Douglas Mansion.
Owned by a guy named Douglas, last name. See, I can.
His name was James Douglas. James Douglas built this place, and obviously he was very welcoming because this was built in 1916, and it was a very advanced home for its time. It had central vacuum, they had a billiards room, like a wine cellar. This place was the bomb.
It was made with adobe bricks that were actually made on site. See, I can do a little research too.
You did good. You did good.
They have a really interesting 3D model of the town of Jerome. But what's really cool, that below that 3D model is actually a continuation of a 3D model of the mines. So as word got out on the mining boom here in Jerome, tons of people flocked here for jobs and to open their own businesses. But it also gave rise to another certain profession, scammers. Scammers would basically get a group of wealthy investors and say, hey, you know, there's millions and millions of dollars here in Jerome just waiting to be uncovered. And they would grab sizable investments from these individuals only to just disappear with the money. Okay, this next part really has me shaking. We're at the Audrey shaft, and it's 1,900 feet deep. It has a glass bottom so you can actually see down into the shaft that the workers used to descend to and bring up ore. It's pretty scary. It's unreal.
Whew, so Jerome was so much fun. I really, really enjoyed exploring this little ghost town.
If you love history and ghosts and food and just fun in general, then you should definitely check out Jerome.
Jerome is definitely worth a side trip if you're staying Cottonwood, Sedona, Prescott, wherever. Just come up here and check it out because it's amazing. But we hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button, the notifications bell, all that good jazz.
And that's going to do it for this video. And until next time, stay wonderful.
Call it a day.